Welcome back to Sleep Storyteller, where every night is a new adventure, and every story is a journey into the unknown. I'm so glad you're here, ready to relax, unwind, and let the gentle sound of rain guide you into a peaceful slumber. As we begin tonight's story, I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let the world outside fade away. Remember, this is your space, a place to let go, to dream, and to find the calm you need. If you're ready for tonight's story, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below sharing what helps you relax most at night. Now, let's begin. The Starborn Journey. In the heart of the vast, uncharted sky, a star burned bright, its light a beacon for those who sought answers to the mysteries of the universe. The Starborn, an ancient lineage said to be touched by the very essence of the stars, had long been the subject of myth and legend. For centuries, the people of Eloria had gazed upward, watching as the constellations shifted and the stars blinked out, one by one. But no one had ever truly understood the power of the Starborn. No one, that is, except for the star itself. The wind howled through the open plains of Verithar, a land on the edge of the known world. In the distance, the mountain ranges loomed like silent sentinels, their jagged peaks piercing the sky. The land was wild and untamed, untouched by civilization, where only the bravest ventured. Among them was a young traveler, cloaked in tattered robes, their face hidden beneath a hood. They walked with purpose, the weight of something heavy on their heart. At their side, a small, glowing orb floated in the air, a soft blue light pulsing in time with the traveler's movements. It was the source of their strength, the one connection they had to the stars. It was called a celestial orb, a rare and mysterious artifact that only the Starborn could wield. Its power was immense, but it was also volatile, unpredictable. Still, it was all they had, and it had guided them here. To the edge of the world, the journey had been long, filled with hardships and dangers. But the traveler was undeterred. They had a destiny to fulfill, a task that had been passed down through generations. The time had come to discover the truth behind the disappearance of the stars, to uncover the secrets that had been hidden for millennia. Ahead, the traveler saw a small village, nestled against the foothills of the mountains. It was a place where few dared to venture, for it was said that the land was cursed. The villagers spoke of strange happenings, of eerie lights in the sky and voices carried on the wind. But the traveler knew that this was where their journey would begin. As they approached the village, the orb flickered, casting strange shadows on the ground. The air grew colder, and a sense of foreboding settled over them. The village was silent, its streets empty, as if the people had vanished into thin air. Only the faintest hint of smoke rose from the chimneys of the homes, as though someone had just left in a hurry. The traveler hesitated for a moment, their hand tightening around the orb. There was something wrong here, something they couldn't quite place. But they could not turn back now. The village held the answers they sought. They had to find out what had happened, and they had to do it quickly. With a deep breath, the traveler stepped forward, their feet crunching on the frost-covered ground. As they entered the village, the wind whispered through the empty streets, the sound like a warning. But still, they pressed on, their eyes scanning every building, every corner, looking for any sign of life. Suddenly, a figure appeared from the shadows. It was a woman, her long white hair flowing in the wind, her face hidden beneath a hood. She stepped forward, her eyes glowing with an eerie, otherworldly light. "You've come," she said, her voice soft yet filled with a sense of ancient knowledge. "I knew you would. The stars have called to you." The travelers stopped in their tracks, their heart racing. How did she know? How could she possibly know what they were seeking? "Who are you?" the traveler asked, their voice steady despite the unease that gripped their chest. "I am Alara," the woman said, her gaze unwavering. "And I have waited for you. The stars have foretold your arrival. You are the one they have chosen." The traveler's breath caught in their throat. The stars. They had never been told of this, never been told that they were destined for anything. They had always thought themselves just a wanderer, someone with no place, no purpose. "Chosen," the traveler echoed. "But for what?" Alara smiled, a sad, knowing smile. "You have come to restore balance to the heavens. To rekindle the stars and bring light back to the world. The time has come for you to begin your journey." The traveler's mind raced. This was impossible. They had never believed in such tales, stories of the Starborn, of a great destiny that shaped the very fabric of the universe. But standing before this mysterious woman, with the orb pulsing in their hand and the weight of her words heavy in their heart, they couldn't deny the truth. The sky above them shifted, dark clouds gathering in the distance. The stars, which had been hidden behind the veil of night, slowly began to appear once more, twinkling faintly in the heavens above. A low hum, like the distant sound of 1,000 voices, echoed through the air. "You must go to the Temple of the Celestials," Alara continued, her voice urgent. "There, you will find the answers you seek. But beware, there are those who would stop you. The shadows are stirring, and they will do everything in their power to keep the stars from returning." The traveler nodded, their heart heavy with the weight of the task ahead. They knew that the road would be long, and the challenges would be great. But they also knew that they had no choice but to follow this path. The stars had called to them, and it was their duty to answer. Alara stepped back, her form blending into the shadows of the village. "Go now," she whispered, her voice fading into the wind. "The stars are waiting." The traveler stood for a moment, the orb's light flickering once more, casting a soft glow on their path. With a final glance at the village, they turned and began their journey toward the mountains. The wind howled in their ears, but they didn't falter. Their destiny awaited them, and the stars had already begun to guide their way. The path ahead was winding and treacherous, leading through dense forests and steep ravines, but the traveler pressed forward. With the celestial orb pulsing gently at their side, its glow flickered like a beacon in the darkness, guiding them through the wild terrain. The journey was long, but they did not tire. There was no time for rest, for the stars had already begun their slow descent, and the balance of the heavens was in jeopardy. The wind howled through the trees, a low, mournful sound that echoed through the valley. The travelers' footsteps were silent on the forest floor, their movements swift and deliberate. But despite their focused pace, they could feel the weight of the world pressing against them. The task ahead felt almost insurmountable, as though the very earth itself were testing their resolve. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the land, the traveler reached the base of the mountain range. The towering peaks loomed in the distance, their tops hidden by a blanket of dark clouds. The Temple of the Celestials, Ilara had said, lay beyond the mountains, an ancient structure where the mysteries of the stars had been written and kept for generations. The air grew colder as they ascended the first of the mountain trails, the wind biting at their skin with a harshness that made their breath catch in their throat. The terrain was uneven, covered in loose rocks and icy patches that threatened to send them tumbling down the steep incline. But the orb, ever present, pulsed with warmth, a constant source of strength and guidance. Hours passed, and the night grew deeper, but the traveler did not stop. They could feel the call of the stars growing louder with each step, a silent yet undeniable pull that urged them to continue. It was as if the mountains themselves were alive, watching, waiting for the traveler to prove themselves worthy of the journey ahead. Just as the traveler was beginning to wonder if they would ever reach the temple, a clearing appeared in the distance, bathed in a pale blue light. At first, they thought it was just another trick of the eye, a mirage created by the wind and the cold. But as they drew closer, the shape of a large stone structure began to take form, rising from the mountainside like an ancient sentinel. The Temple of the Celestials, the temple was unlike anything the traveler had ever seen. Its architecture was both graceful and imposing, a blend of intricate carvings and smooth, flowing lines that seemed to capture the essence of the stars themselves. The entrance was a massive archway, flanked by two towering stone statues of celestial beings. Their eyes carved in such a way that they appeared to follow the traveler as they approached. With a deep breath, the traveler stepped into the temple, their footsteps echoing in the vast, hollow space. The air inside was thick with the scent of ancient stone and the faintest trace of incense. The walls were adorned with murals and mosaics depicting scenes of cosmic battles and celestial phenomena, stars exploding, comets streaking across the sky, and the birth of galaxies from the void. At the center of the temple stood a large pedestal, upon which rested a single, glowing orb. Its light pulsed in time with the traveler's heartbeat, a rhythm that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of the universe itself. This, the traveler realized, was the heart of the temple, the source of its power. Approaching cautiously, the traveler reached out, their fingers brushing against the surface of the orb. In that instant, a wave of energy surged through them, so intense that it took their breath away. Their vision blurred, and the world around them seemed to dissolve into light. For a moment, they felt as if they were no longer standing on solid ground, but floating in the vastness of the cosmos. A voice, deep and resonant, echoed through the temple, vibrating the very air. It was both ancient and timeless, a voice that seemed to come from every corner of the universe. "You have come," the voice said, its tone heavy with both power and sorrow. "The stars have watched you, Starborn. Your arrival was foreseen." The travelers staggered back, their heart racing as they struggled to regain their bearings. The orb in front of them glowed brighter, its light blinding as the voice continued, "But your path is not an easy one. The shadows are gathering, and the balance is in peril. You seek to restore the stars, but there are forces that will do anything to stop you." The travelers steadied themselves, their resolve hardening. "What must I do?" they asked, their voice steady despite the overwhelming presence of the temple. The voice grew softer, almost mournful. "You must journey to the heart of the sky, where the veil between the worlds is thinnest. There, you will find the answers you seek. But be warned, Only those who are pure of heart may pass through the veil. The darkness that follows you is not just a shadow in the world, it is a part of you, a part of all Starborn. The traveler's mind raced as the weight of the voice's words sank in. The darkness that followed them. What did that mean? They had always thought of the stars as a guiding light, a symbol of hope, but now they realized that the stars held as much danger as they did promise. You must face the shadows within yourself, the voice continued. Only then will you be able to restore the stars. Only then will the path be clear. The traveler stood in silence, absorbing the gravity of what had been said. The orb in their hand pulsed once more, as if in response to the ancient voice. They could feel the presence of the stars all around them, but it was not comforting, it was overwhelming. The journey ahead would be more difficult than they had ever imagined. They would have to face not only the darkness in the world, but the darkness within themselves. With a final look at the pedestal, the traveler turned and made their way toward the temple's exit. The path ahead was uncertain, but they now knew their purpose. The stars had chosen them, and it was their destiny to restore balance to the heavens. The wind howled as they stepped back into the cold night. But the traveler did not falter. The stars were waiting, and they would answer the call, no matter the cost. The night was cold, and the wind howled through the ancient stone walls of the temple. The traveler stood at the base of the mountain, their heart heavy with the weight of the journey ahead. The words of the celestial voice still echoed in their mind, only those who are pure of heart may pass through the veil. The thought of the darkness within them stirred unease in their chest, but they could not afford to dwell on it. The stars had called, and they had no choice but to answer. With the celestial orb glowing softly in their hand, the traveler began the descent from the mountain temple. The path was treacherous, winding through jagged rocks and steep inclines. Despite the difficulty, the traveler moved with a purpose, their determination unwavering. The stars had chosen them for this mission, and there was no turning back. As they moved lower into the valley, the air grew warmer, the chill of the mountaintop fading behind them. The journey ahead was long, but they knew where they must go, the heart of the sky, the place where the veil between worlds was thinnest. It was a distant location, far to the east, and the road would be perilous. But there was no other path. Days passed as the traveler ventured through forests, across rivers, and through desolate plains. The land was vast, and though the terrain changed, the sky above remained constant, a canvas of stars that seemed to watch over them. The light of the celestial orb never wavered, a constant guide on their journey, but it was not only the stars that watched. The shadows that had been spoken of were stirring, and the traveler could feel their presence creeping closer with each passing day. The air seemed to grow heavier, as if something unseen was following, waiting for the right moment to strike. The traveler could not afford to let their guard down, and so they pressed forward, faster than before, always looking over their shoulder, but never slowing their pace. One evening, as the sun dipped beneath the horizon, casting long shadows over the landscape, the traveler came across a small village. Unlike the one they had encountered earlier, this village was alive with activity. The flickering light of campfires danced from within the homes, and the sound of laughter and voices carried on the wind. At first, the traveler hesitated. The village seemed peaceful, but after their experiences, they trusted no place and no person easily. They considered continuing on their journey, but the orb pulsed with an intensity they had not felt before, its glow brighter than usual. It was as if the celestial orb itself was urging them to approach. With cautious steps, the traveler made their way toward the village. As they entered the village square, they were greeted by an old man sitting beside a fire. His hair was long and white, his skin weathered by time. He looked up from the flames as the traveler approached, his eyes gleaming with wisdom. "You've come," the old man said, his voice soft, yet carrying the weight of 1,000 years. "I knew you would find your way here," the traveler frowned. "How do you know me?" "Who are you?" The old man smiled, a knowing expression crossing his face. "I am Orin, keeper of the old ways. And I have watched you, Starborn. The stars have called to you, and your path is entwined with theirs. But it is not a path that can be walked alone." The traveler was silent for a moment, studying the old man. There was something familiar about him, as if they had crossed paths before, though they were certain they had never met. The name Orin felt significant, though they could not place why. "What do you mean, I cannot walk this path alone?" the traveler asked, their brow furrowed. Orin chuckled softly. "You think you are the only one drawn to the stars, my child. You are not the first to feel their call. And you will not be the last. But the journey ahead requires more than just strength. It requires understanding, wisdom, and allies." The traveler shook their head. "I have no allies. I am alone in this." Orin's eyes softened. "You may be alone now, but you will find those who will stand with you. The stars are not just a symbol, they are a force, a guiding power. And they have a way of bringing people together when the time is right." The traveler glanced down at the celestial orb in their hand. It pulsed with a steady rhythm, as if echoing the old man's words. "I don't understand," they admitted. "What does it all mean? Why have the stars called to me?" Orin stood slowly, his movements graceful despite his age. He walked around the fire and stood next to the traveler, his gaze far away, as if looking beyond the physical world. "The stars are not just lights in the sky. They are a reflection of the balance between light and darkness, between creation and destruction. They hold the knowledge of the universe, the wisdom of the ages. And the time has come for someone to restore that balance." The traveler looked up at the sky, the vast expanse of stars stretching overhead. There was something stirring within them, a deep, undeniable connection to the heavens. They felt the weight of the task ahead, but also a sense of purpose that was both humbling and empowering. "Then what must I do?" the traveler asked, their voice resolute. Orin smiled, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "You must journey to the heart of the sky. There, you will find the answers you seek. But the path will be fraught with dangers, both from the shadows that stalk you and from within yourself. The darkness is not just an external force, it is something you must confront within your own heart." The traveler nodded slowly, taking in the old man's words. The road ahead was long, and they had much to learn. But with the stars as their guide, they knew they could not fail. As Orin spoke once more, his voice filled with quiet urgency, "The darkness is rising, child. Time is running out. The stars are waiting for you to restore their light. Do not waste a moment." With that, the traveler turned and began to walk away, the celestial orb lighting their path. The shadows that had followed them were closer now, but so too was the light. And though the road ahead was uncertain, they knew one thing for sure: their destiny was written in the stars. The stars gleamed down from the heavens, brighter than ever, as the traveler continued on their journey. Their path now felt more certain, though the road was no less dangerous. The advice from Orin lingered in their mind: the darkness is rising, and the journey ahead was fraught with dangers both external and internal. The celestial orb in their hand pulsed rhythmically, its glow unwavering, as if it too understood the gravity of the task ahead. The land around them had changed. The forests, once dense and full of life, had given way to vast plains. The wind swept across the open landscape, carrying with it the scent of distant storms. The traveler could feel the air growing heavier, as if something was approaching from far off. They knew that the shadows Orin had warned of were not far behind. As they pressed on, the weight of the orb seemed to grow. It was no longer just a light to guide them, it had become a symbol of the responsibility they now carried. Every step they took brought them closer to the heart of the sky, but also deeper into the unknown. They had no idea what awaited them at the end of their journey, but they could feel the pull of the stars, a constant tug in the back of their mind, urging them onward. Days turned into weeks, and the road grew increasingly treacherous. The terrain became jagged, the path narrowing as the mountains rose before them. Their feet ached, their body weary from the long days of travel. But still, they did not stop. There was no time to rest, not when the fate of the stars, and perhaps the world itself, rested on their shoulders. One evening, as the sun sank beneath the horizon, casting the world into twilight, the traveler reached the base of a mountain unlike any they had seen before. It was taller, more imposing, its peaks hidden by a swirling mist. The land here felt different, as though it was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The wind had died down, and the only sound was the steady pulse of the orb in the traveler's hand. They knew this was it, the final stretch of their journey. The heart of the sky was somewhere beyond this mountain range. But the path would not be easy. They had seen enough of the world to understand that nothing worth achieving came without sacrifice. The journey had already cost them much: time, energy, and even pieces of their own soul. What would they lose next? The traveler paused for a moment, looking up at the mountain. It loomed high above them, its jagged edges piercing the sky. There was a sense of foreboding about it, as if the mountain itself was alive and aware of their presence. A deep rumble echoed through the air, followed by a sudden crack of thunder. The traveler's heart skipped a beat, but they did not hesitate. They had come too far to turn back now. With a steady breath, they began to climb. The mountain was steep, the rocks loose and unstable beneath their feet. The wind had picked up again, howling like a beast in the distance, but the traveler pressed on, one step at a time. They focused on the path before them, blocking out everything else. The orb's glow illuminated the darkness around them, casting long shadows against the rocky walls. It was both comforting and eerie, the light a constant reminder of the stars and the power they held. As they climbed higher, the air grew colder, the temperature dropping with each passing moment. The mist surrounding the mountain thickened, wrapping the traveler in a ghostly shroud. Visibility was limited, but the traveler had become accustomed to the disorienting effect of the orb's light. They trusted it, Just as they had come to trust their instincts, hours passed as they ascended, the mountain seeming to stretch on forever. The weight of the orb in their hand grew heavier, its pulsing rhythm becoming more insistent. It was as though it was calling out to something, reacting to an unseen force in the mountain. The traveler's heart raced, the sense that something was waiting for them at the peak growing stronger with each step. At last, they reached the summit. The sky above was a deep, inky black, the stars obscured by thick clouds. The wind had died down completely, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. The traveler stood at the edge of the peak, staring into the void before them. There was something familiar about the place, as though they had been here before, in another time or place. The orb in their hand pulsed violently, its light flaring brightly. For a moment, the traveler was blinded by its brilliance, and when their vision cleared, they found themselves no longer standing at the peak of the mountain. They were standing on the edge of a vast, cosmic expanse, a space filled with swirling constellations and nebulae. The stars were closer now, so close that they seemed to be within reach. It was as if the traveler had stepped into the very fabric of the universe itself. They could feel the presence of the stars, their energy surging through the air. Filling the void with a hum that resonated deep within their soul, a figure appeared before them, a shadowy silhouette against the cosmic backdrop. The traveler's heart raced, but they did not move. This figure, was it friend or foe? The figure stepped forward, revealing a face that seemed to shimmer and change with each passing moment, like the reflection of stars in a pool of water. "You have come," the figure said, its voice deep and otherworldly. "The stars have guided you here, but the journey is far from over." The travelers swallowed, their throat dry. "Who are you?" The figure smiled, though their expression was unreadable. "I am the keeper of the veil. The boundary between worlds is thin here, and the balance must be restored. But only those who are worthy may pass." The traveler's pulse quickened. They had not expected this, had not anticipated the test they were about to face. The keeper of the veil. What did this being want from them? And what did they mean by worthy? "You must prove yourself," the keeper continued, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. "The stars will only shine once the darkness within you has been confronted. Only then can the heart of the sky be unlocked, and the stars' power restored." The traveler's grip tightened on the orb. They understood now. The darkness was not just an external force, it was something that resided within them. It was something they would have to face before they could continue. The keeper's voice echoed in their mind, and they could feel the pull of the stars once more, their light both inviting and demanding. It was time to face the darkness. The air was thick with the weight of the keeper's words. The travelers stood on the precipice of the cosmic expanse, the dark void before them expanding like an endless abyss. The keeper's glowing eyes were fixed upon them, and the silence that surrounded them felt more oppressive than the coldest winter night. The traveler tightened their grip on the celestial orb. Its light pulsed steadily, offering a soft, comforting glow in the otherwise infinite darkness. But the keeper's words echoed in their mind, louder than any of the distant stars that flickered above. "Only when the darkness within you is confronted." The thought chilled the traveler to their very core. What darkness was the keeper speaking of? Was it the fear they had felt in their heart, the shadows of doubt that had clouded their thoughts since the journey had begun? Or was it something deeper, something more ancient and personal? The very idea of confronting such a darkness made their heart race. But they knew, with an undeniable certainty, that there was no way forward without facing it. The keeper spoke again, their voice a whisper that reverberated through the traveler's soul. You have already felt the darkness stir, haven't you? It follows you, just as it has followed all those who came before you. It waits for the moment of weakness, the crack in your resolve, and then it strikes. The traveler's mind flashed to the events of their journey so far, the shadows that had lurked just out of sight, the feeling of being watched, hunted. It had always been there, lurking in the corners of their thoughts. But had it truly been darkness? Or was it merely the fear of failure, the fear of never being enough? I don't understand, the traveler said, their voice hoarse with uncertainty. I thought the darkness was an external force. I thought it was something I could defeat, something I could fight off with the light of the orb. But now, you speak of something else. Something within me. The keeper's smile was faint but knowing. Ah, the realization has come. The darkness is not always a foe that can be seen or touched. It is not a force that can be defeated in battle. No, the true battle is within. Only when you understand the nature of this darkness can you hope to control it. The travelers swallowed hard, their pulse quickening. This was more than they had bargained for. They had thought that the journey would be a simple quest, follow the light of the stars, overcome the external dangers, and restore balance. But the true trial, they now realized, was not just to restore the stars. It was to restore themselves. The keeper's form shimmered, as if the very fabric of reality bent around them. The darkness you must confront is your own. It is the fear that resides deep within you, the part of you that believes you are not worthy. It is the doubt that clouds your mind, the part of you that questions whether you have the strength to fulfill your destiny. The traveler closed their eyes, taking a deep breath. Their thoughts swirled in confusion, their emotions a tempest that threatened to overtake them. How could they face something so intangible, so deeply buried? They had spent their whole life avoiding it, pushing it down, pretending it did not exist. To confront it now was terrifying. The thought of staring into their own fears, of facing that part of themselves they had always kept hidden, was unbearable, yet, somewhere deep inside, they knew it had to be done. A voice broke through their internal turmoil. It was a familiar voice, one they had not heard in a long time. It was their own voice, but not the one they used to speak to others. This was the voice from the deepest part of their heart, the part they had kept locked away for so long. You can do this. The words were simple, but they held the weight of an entire universe. The traveler opened their eyes to see the keeper still standing before them, their form now slightly more translucent, as though they existed both in the physical world and in a place beyond. Were you really? The traveler asked, their voice barely a whisper. Are you a being of the stars? Or are you something else entirely? The keeper tilted their head, and for a moment, the traveler could have sworn they saw a flicker of something beyond the keeper's glowing eyes, a hint of sorrow, or perhaps understanding. I am both, and neither, the keeper answered. I am the reflection of what must be done, the manifestation of the choices you must make. I am the gatekeeper to the heart of the sky, but more importantly, I am the guide who leads you to the truth within yourself. You have come this far because you have chosen to face the darkness. But the final step lies within you, the traveler's heart pounded in their chest. The truth. Within them. Could it be that simple? Could the key to all of this truly lie within themselves? Could they conquer the very fears and doubts that had haunted them for as long as they could remember? The keeper's voice echoed softly, almost like a gentle breeze. Look deep within. Only when you embrace your darkness will you be able to free the light. The traveler's hand tightened around the celestial orb, its glow intensifying. For a moment, they felt a surge of fear, the kind that made their limbs tremble and their breath shallow. But deep inside, there was something else, something softer but more persistent. It was the spark of determination, the flame of courage that had carried them this far. It was the will to keep moving forward, no matter the cost. As the orb pulsed in their hand, the traveler closed their eyes again, this time letting the darkness inside wash over them. They did not fight it, did not try to push it away. Instead, they welcomed it, letting it fill them completely. The fear, the doubt, the uncertainty, all of it surged forward. But this time, they did not recoil. They faced it head-on, accepting that it was a part of them, that it had always been a part of them. The darkness was not their enemy. It was a part of their journey, a lesson that had to be learned, and as they embraced it, something incredible happened. The darkness began to shift, to dissolve into something else. It did not disappear entirely, but it no longer felt overwhelming. It became a part of the light, a shadow that existed only to make the light shine brighter. The traveler opened their eyes once more, and the world around them seemed to shimmer and shift. The cosmic expanse had faded, replaced by the ethereal light of the heart of the sky. The stars above pulsed with a brilliant energy, brighter than they had ever been. The orb in their hand burned with a steady, unwavering glow, as if it had been infused with the very essence of their soul. You are ready, the keeper's voice resonated in their mind. You have faced the darkness within. Now, the stars will guide you, and with that, the traveler stepped forward, their heart filled with both peace and purpose. The journey was not over. It had only just begun. The stars above blazed with a quiet intensity as the traveler stepped forward, their hearts steady with newfound resolve. The keeper of the veil had vanished, but their words still echoed through the traveler's mind. You are ready. The journey had shifted. The darkness that had once seemed so overwhelming now felt like a distant whisper, barely audible against the thrum of the star's eternal pulse. The celestial orb still glowed in their hand, its light pulsing like a heartbeat. The traveler could feel its power, deep and ancient, radiating through their fingertips. It was as though the orb had become an extension of themselves, as if they had always been connected to it, even before the journey had begun. Ahead of them, the sky stretched endlessly, a vast expanse of swirling galaxies and nebulae. The traveler could feel the pull of the heart of the sky, closer now than ever before. The stars, so far and distant once, now felt within reach, and with each step, they seemed to draw the traveler closer to their final destination, but the road ahead was still fraught with danger. The keeper had warned them that their journey was far from over, and the shadows of the past still lingered. They could sense it, the weight of unseen eyes watching them from the periphery of the universe. The darkness had not been vanquished, only accepted, and there was still more to confront before they could reach the heart of the sky. As the traveler pressed forward, they noticed a faint glow on the horizon, a strange, flickering light that seemed to dance against the fabric of the cosmos. The orb in their hand pulsed more rapidly, as if reacting to the light. The stars above dimmed slightly, and the traveler felt an inexplicable pull toward the source. They quickened their pace, the glow growing stronger as they neared. It was not the light of a distant star, this was something different. The closer they got, the more the atmosphere around them seemed to shimmer, as though the very air was alive with energy. And then they saw it, a figure stood in the distance, cloaked in shimmering starlight. Their form was tall and ethereal, as though woven from the very threads of the cosmos itself. Their eyes glowed with a soft, silvery light, and their presence was overwhelming, both gentle and powerful, as if they held the secrets of the universe in their grasp. The travelers stopped in their tracks, hesitant. This being was not like the keeper, nor any creature they had encountered before. There was something otherworldly about them, something that transcended understanding. They stood in the vastness of the cosmos, yet their presence was as intimate as a whisper. "Welcome, traveler," the being said, their voice a melodic echo that resonated through the traveler's very soul. "I have been waiting for you." The traveler felt a chill run down their spine. "Who are you?" they asked, their voice trembling despite their best efforts to remain calm. The figure smiled, though it was a smile that held no warmth, only an understanding that ran deeper than the traveler could comprehend. "I am the keeper of the stars, the one who watches over the light. I am the guide for those who seek the heart of the sky." The traveler's heart raced. The keeper of the stars? Had they truly found the path to the heart of the sky, or was this another test? "The heart of the sky," they murmured, "it's real, then?" The figure nodded, their glowing eyes never leaving the traveler's face. "The heart is real, but it is not a destination. It is a journey. And you have already begun it. You have faced the darkness within, but there are other shadows that must be confronted before you can reach the heart." The traveler felt the weight of the figure's words settle into their bones. "What kind of shadows?" they asked, though they feared the answer. The keeper's gaze grew distant, as if they were seeing beyond time itself. "The darkness of the world is not just a force. It is born of many things: fear, grief, loss, regret. And it takes many forms. Some shadows are external, born from the actions of others. But others are born from within, from the things you cannot escape, the things you fear to face." The traveler shuddered, the thought of confronting even more darkness making their heart heavy. But they had already faced the shadows inside themselves. They had already learned that the darkness did not define them. Could they really conquer the shadows of the world as well? "Do not fear," the keeper said, as though reading the traveler's thoughts. "The path ahead is not one you walk alone. The stars will guide you, as they have always done. And you, traveler, are more than you know." The traveler looked down at the orb in their hand. Its glow was steady, comforting, but now there was something more, something deeper within the light, something that resonated with the words of the keeper. They could feel the stars, could feel their power and presence, and for the first time in a long while. The traveler felt a sense of peace. "You must continue," the keeper said, their voice gentle. "The heart of the sky is not just a place. It is the heart of the universe itself. And it is waiting for you. The traveler nodded, their resolve solidifying. They could feel the weight of their journey, but they also felt the pull of the stars, urging them forward. The darkness, though still present, was no longer their master. They had learned that they were the one who held the power to confront it, to move beyond it. With a deep breath, the travelers stepped forward, their eyes set on the distant horizon, where the heart of the sky waited. The stars above shone brightly, lighting their path. And for the first time, they knew that their journey was not just about reaching the destination, it was about understanding the journey itself, and so, they continued, stepping into the unknown, knowing that the darkness was not something to be feared, but something to be embraced, for it was through the shadows that the light shone brightest. The travelers' footsteps were soft against the starlit expanse, each one guided by the pull of the unknown. The keeper of the stars had faded into the cosmos, leaving them with nothing but the vast, glittering tapestry of the universe. The silence that surrounded them was profound, and yet, within that silence, there was a hum of energy. An undercurrent that tugged at their very being. It was as if the universe itself was alive, breathing with them, its pulse aligned with their own. Ahead, the stars continued to shine brightly, their light seeming more like distant beacons than ever before. But in the distance, a shadow loomed, a vast, dark shape stretching across the cosmos, blocking out the stars and creating an impenetrable veil of darkness. The traveler's heart raced as they approached it, their breath catching in their chest. The heart of the sky, the keeper had said, was just beyond the shadow. But the darkness before them seemed impenetrable, as if it were a force unto itself, keeping them from what they sought. And yet, the traveler could not stop now. There was something within them, a driving force, a quiet insistence, that propelled them forward, pushing them into the heart of the unknown. The traveler raised the celestial orb high, its light flickering as though responding to the dark force ahead. The closer they got, the more the orb pulsed, growing brighter with each step. The light seemed to clash against the dark shadow, but the shadow did not yield. It was as if the two forces were locked in an eternal struggle, each one pushing against the other, yet neither gaining ground. The travelers' hands trembled as they held the orb, but they did not falter. The keeper's words reverberated in their mind, "The darkness is not your enemy. It is a part of you, and it must be embraced to be overcome." The traveler understood now that the true test was not to fight against the shadow, but to understand it, to accept that it was a force in balance with the light. They could not hope to banish it, for without it, the stars would not shine as brightly. A soft voice echoed through the stillness, a voice that seemed to come from both within and without, resonating with the very fabric of the universe. "You have come far, traveler. But the final test awaits." The traveler looked around, but there was no one in sight. The voice was ethereal, yet familiar. They instinctively knew that the voice came from the very fabric of the universe itself. A presence that had watched over them since the beginning of their journey. "Who speaks?" The traveler called out, their voice barely a whisper against the vastness. "I am the shadow and the light," the voice replied, "the force that binds the stars and the darkness in balance. I am the one who tests those who seek the heart of the sky." The traveler swallowed, their mind racing. "What is this test? What must I do?" The voice seemed to smile in the depths of the silence. "You must face the darkness that lies ahead, not with fear, but with understanding. You must embrace what lies in the void, for it is not the absence of light, but the essence of creation. The heart of the sky lies beyond this darkness. But only those who can see through the shadow will find their way. The traveler stepped closer to the dark shape ahead. The darkness pulsed with an energy of its own, thick and heavy, like a storm that had gathered strength over millennia. The air around them seemed to grow colder, the light from the orb struggling to pierce through the shadow. The traveler could feel the fear creeping back into their chest, but they fought against it. They had come this far, faced their own darkness, and learned that fear was not something to run from. It was something to understand. The shadow, they realized, was not their enemy. It was a part of the journey, a necessary force that had to be met with acceptance. Not resistance. As the traveler moved closer, they reached out, holding the orb in front of them. The light from the orb flared, casting long, shifting shadows on the ground before them. The darkness before them did not recede, but it seemed to ripple, as though it were reacting to the orb's light. A soft voice, barely audible, whispered from within the shadow. You must release the fear within you. Only then can you see the path ahead. The traveler closed their eyes, focusing on their breath. They had felt fear many times on this journey, each time it threatened to overtake them. But each time, they had pushed forward, fighting against it, trying to conquer it. They had believed that fear was something that had to be defeated. But now, they understood, fear was not to be fought, it was to be accepted. It was a part of them, a part of this journey. The traveler exhaled slowly, releasing the fear that had taken root deep within. They felt the weight of it lift from their chest, the darkness before them no longer seeming like a force to be feared, but a part of the vast cosmos, a necessary counterpart to the light that had guided them. As they opened their eyes, the shadow seemed to fade. Not in a violent retreat, but in a soft dissolution, as if it had never been there at all. The space before them was filled with light, not the blinding, harsh kind, but a soft, gentle glow that seemed to come from the very stars themselves. The heart of the sky was just ahead. It pulsed like the beating of a heart, a rhythmic thrum that echoed through the traveler's soul. It was not a place, but a presence, an energy that stretched across the universe, binding the stars, the darkness, and the light together in perfect harmony. The traveler stepped forward, feeling the warmth of the light envelop them. They were no longer afraid. They had faced the darkness, not by conquering it, but by understanding it. And in doing so, they had found their path. As they reached the heart, the stars above shimmered brighter than ever before, their light shining not just for the traveler, but for all who would one day come seeking it. The traveler knew that their journey was not over. It had only just begun. But they had learned something that would carry them through. The heart of the sky, the heart of the universe, was the heart within themselves, and it was enough. The light of the heart of the sky bathed the traveler in a warmth they had never known. It was as though the very essence of the universe was flowing through them, its ancient power awakening something deep within their soul. The stars above glittered brighter, and the traveler could feel the pull of the cosmos, the endless dance of light and darkness swirling around them in a vast, harmonious rhythm. For a moment, they simply stood there, letting the energy of the heart wash over them. It was overwhelming, this sense of unity, as though every piece of the universe was aligned, and they, too, were a part of it. It was as if they had finally found a place where they truly belonged, but the peace was fleeting. The traveler felt a stirring deep inside, a faint tremor in the fabric of reality itself. The stars began to flicker, their once steady glow now wavering as if something were disturbing the balance of the cosmos. The gentle hum of the heart became erratic, its pulse faltering as a cold wind swept through the air. The traveler's hand instinctively tightened around the celestial orb, and the light from within flared in response. They could feel the shadow. The same one that had tested them earlier, lingering just beyond the edges of their perception. It was a presence, dark and insistent, pushing against the light with all its might. It sought to consume the harmony, to disrupt the peace that had been established. From the depths of the void, a voice spoke, its tone both chilling and familiar. You thought you had overcome the darkness. But the shadow you seek to leave behind is not so easily vanquished. The traveler's heart quickened. They had thought they had found peace, but now they realized that the true test was not over. The darkness was not something that could be escaped, it was something that had to be continuously faced. Continually balanced. You are not finished, the voice continued, as the shadow grew stronger, encroaching upon the heart's light. You have reached the heart of the sky, but you have yet to understand its true power. It is not the absence of darkness that makes the light so bright, but the coexistence of both. It is only when you embrace the shadows fully, when you accept them without fear, that you will unlock the heart's true potential. The traveler's grip on the orb tightened. They had known this truth, deep down. The darkness was not something to be feared, but to be understood. They had faced their own shadows, and now, they realized that their journey was about understanding the balance between light and dark, about knowing that neither could exist without the other. The orb in their hand pulsed with a deep, resonant light, as if acknowledging their realization. The glow from the heart of the sky flickered, the pulse of its light syncing with the rhythm of the traveler's heart. Slowly, the darkness before them began to dissipate, not with a violent retreat, but with a slow, steady fade, as though it were retreating to where it belonged, but the traveler knew it would return. The darkness was eternal, just as the light was, and it would always seek to challenge the harmony of the universe. It was not something that could be defeated, but something that had to be kept in balance. They had learned that lesson now, as the shadow faded completely. The traveler took a deep breath and turned toward the heart once more. The stars above sparkled, their light growing steady again, and the pulse of the heart was strong, unwavering. They had not only reached it, they had understood it. And in that understanding, they had become one with the cosmos, but even as they stood there, basking in the light of the heart, they knew their journey was not yet over. There was still much to learn, still much to face. The heart of the sky had shown them the path, but it was up to them to walk it. Do you see now? The voice whispered again, softer this time, almost as if the darkness itself were trying to comfort them. The light cannot shine without the shadow. And the shadow cannot exist without the light. You are the bridge between them, traveler. The journey is yours to complete, but you must carry both within you. The traveler nodded slowly, feeling the weight of the universe settle into their bones. They had been chosen for this path, for this journey of balance and understanding. The heart of the sky had opened its doors to them, but it was up to them to keep the door open, to continue walking the path of harmony. With that, the traveler turned and began to walk once more, the path ahead shining bright with the light of the stars and the deep, eternal darkness that wrapped around it. It was not a path of ease, nor one without challenge. But it was theirs to walk. The journey would continue, and they would face whatever came, with the light of the heart and the wisdom of the shadows guiding them forward. The stars above gleamed as they took their first step, the road ahead stretching out into the infinite unknown, but the traveler felt ready. For they had learned, perhaps for the first time, that true peace does not come from avoiding the darkness, but from embracing it as part of the whole, and so, they walked into the unknown, not alone, but as one with the universe itself, the light and the shadow both now a part of who they were. The traveler's journey had become something more than a path through the stars. It was a quest of understanding, of finding balance within the infinite chaos of the universe. The heart of the sky had opened to them, and with it, the secrets of the cosmos began to unravel. But even as the traveler walked the path lit by the stars, the shadow of uncertainty lingered, always present, always just beyond the reach of the light. With every step, they felt the weight of the universe pressing down on them, the vastness of space stretching endlessly in all directions. Yet, within that expanse, there was a calm, a peace that had settled into their heart, like a distant song carried on the winds of time. But now, that peace was threatened. The stars above began to flicker once more, their steady light dimming in an almost imperceptible wave. The traveler halted, sensing the change in the air. The cosmos around them seemed to tremble, as though something was stirring in the deep recesses of the universe. It was not a force they recognized, but it was something ancient, something old enough to remember the birth of the stars and the forging of the very fabric of existence. The air was thick with an energy that made the traveler's skin prickle, a sense of foreboding creeping into their bones. They lifted the celestial orb once again, its light pulsing gently in their hands, as if attuned to the disturbance in the cosmos. The orb, once a comforting guide, now felt heavy, burdened by something unseen. The darkness was not just a shadow anymore. It had become a presence that the traveler had not expected, one that seemed to grow stronger with every passing moment. A voice whispered through the silence, low and powerful, reverberating within the traveler's mind. "You have walked far, traveler. But the journey you have undertaken has only just begun. The balance you have sought to preserve is being tested, and you will soon learn that even the stars are not immune to the forces that dwell in the unknown." The traveler's heart raced. This voice was not like the previous whispers, calm and filled with wisdom. It was heavy, filled with power. As if it came from a being that existed beyond time and space itself, beyond the very fabric of reality. "Who are you?" the traveler asked, their voice trembling. "I am the void," came the reply, the words echoing in the vast expanse. "I am the absence that exists between the stars. I am the darkness that gives shape to the light. I have watched as the balance of the cosmos has shifted, and I am here to remind you of the truth. Without darkness, light cannot exist. Without the void, the stars would burn without purpose." The travelers stepped back, a chill running through their body. They had always known that darkness and light were two sides of the same coin, that one could not exist without the other. But this was different. The presence before them was not the simple shadow they had once faced. This was something deeper, something older, and it seemed to possess a power that even the stars themselves could not rival, the heart of the sky. The traveler whispered, their voice barely audible. What of the heart? I have embraced the balance. I have faced the shadow. The void's laughter was soft, a sound that sent shivers down the traveler's spine. The heart is but a reflection, the voice said. A mirror of the balance that already exists within you. But the true test lies in the depths of the unknown. You seek harmony, but harmony is not a final destination, it is a journey that will never end. The heart may guide you, but it will not save you from what lies ahead. The traveler's grip on the celestial orb tightened. The void before them seemed to grow, swallowing the light around them, as if it were pulling the very stars into its depths. You cannot escape me, the void continued. No more than you can escape your own darkness. You will face it, just as you have faced the light. And when you do, you will see that neither side can exist without the other. The traveler felt the weight of the words pressing upon them. This was the true nature of the journey they had undertaken, a path not of simply finding balance, but of embracing both sides of existence, of understanding the delicate equilibrium that held the universe together. They had already faced the light, the heart of the sky had shown them its brilliance. Now, they must face the darkness, the void, and accept its place in the grand design. They had learned that the cosmos was not just a series of stars, but an ever-changing dance between forces. Light and shadow, creation and destruction, life and death, they were all connected, all woven into the same fabric. And the traveler was a part of that fabric, bound to both the light and the darkness in equal measure. With a deep breath, the traveler stepped forward, their resolve firm. The void loomed before them, but they no longer felt fear. They understood now that the true strength lay in embracing both sides, in accepting the duality of existence. The stars above them flickered as they advanced, their light wavering but still present, still shining. Then I will face you, the traveler said, their voice strong and steady. I will face the darkness as I have faced the light, not as an enemy, but as a part of the whole. The void's presence rippled in response, a deep, resonating hum that seemed to echo through the very core of the universe. Very well, traveler, the voice said, its tone shifting now, as if acknowledging the traveler's newfound understanding. You have taken the first step. The rest of the journey lies ahead, and you will walk it with both the light and the dark as your guides. And with that, the shadow before them began to shift, not retreating, but transforming, merging with the stars above in a way that the traveler had never seen before. The darkness became a part of the light, a dance of contrasts that spun across the vastness of the cosmos. The traveler stood at the center of it all, feeling the pull of both the light and the dark, knowing that the path ahead would not be easy. But they were ready. The journey would continue, not just through the stars, but through the heart of existence itself. The stars above shimmered with a brilliance that seemed to pulse in time with the traveler's heartbeat. The darkness and the light had merged into a single, harmonious rhythm, and the traveler could feel its energy flowing through them. They were no longer just a wanderer lost among the stars, they had become a part of the very fabric of the cosmos. They understood now that the journey they had begun was not just about reaching a destination, but about discovering the interconnectedness of all things. As they moved forward, the universe around them seemed to shift. The once distant stars now felt close enough to touch, their light pouring down like a river of liquid fire. The celestial orb pulsed in their hand, its light more intense than ever before, reflecting the harmony between the light and the dark. But as the traveler ventured deeper into the heart of the cosmos, they could feel the presence of something else. It was a faint tremor in the fabric of reality, like the ripple of a stone thrown into the stillness of a pond. The stars above wavered, flickering as though something was disturbing the peace they had so carefully restored. It was a subtle disturbance, but it was enough to make the traveler pause. The balance between light and dark was fragile, and they could sense that something was out of place. The shadow that had once lurked at the edge of their vision now seemed to be creeping forward once more, not as an enemy, but as an inevitable force of nature, one that had been there since the beginning of time. The traveler gripped the celestial orb tighter, feeling its power surge in response. The voice of the void echoed in their mind, as if it had never left. The balance is always in flux, traveler. Nothing remains the same forever. The light you have found is not permanent. The darkness you have embraced is not eternal. Both are forces that ebb and flow, and you must learn to navigate them. For every moment of peace, there is a shadow waiting to challenge it. The traveler nodded, understanding the weight of the words. They had learned that nothing in the universe could be truly permanent, not even the balance they had so desperately sought. The stars would flicker and fade, and the darkness would grow stronger with time. But it was in the moments between the light and the dark, the fleeting moments of balance, where true strength was found. Ahead of them, the void had taken shape. It was no longer just an absence in the universe. It had manifested into something tangible, something that could be seen and touched. A swirling mass of darkness, a churning storm of void energy, stretched out before them, threatening to consume everything in its path. It was both terrifying and awe-inspiring, a reminder of the raw power that lay within the universe's most ancient force. The traveler could feel the weight of it, the pull of the void as it reached out toward them. But they did not hesitate. They had embraced the darkness before, and now they would face it fully. With no fear and no hesitation, as they stepped forward, the stars around them seemed to dim, their light struggling against the encroaching shadow. The traveler's heart raced, but they knew that they could not turn back. They had come too far to abandon the journey now. The celestial orb in their hand flared with light, casting a brilliant glow that cut through the darkness like a sword. The void recoiled for a moment, as if uncertain of the light's power. But then it surged forward, a wave of darkness that crashed against the light with terrifying force. The traveler's grip tightened around the orb, and they focused all their energy on the light within. It was not just a physical force, it was a force of will, of understanding. They did not just hold the orb, they were one with it, one with the very essence of the stars themselves. With a deep breath, the traveler released the light in a burst of energy that spread outward, filling the void with a blinding brilliance. The darkness hesitated, the two forces locking in a cosmic struggle for dominance. For a moment, it seemed as though the light would win, pushing the void back into the depths from which it had come, but the traveler knew better now. The light could not vanquish the darkness, it could only coexist with it. And so, instead of forcing the darkness away, they embraced it, allowing the two forces to intertwine and flow together in a delicate dance. The energy from the orb intensified, merging the light and the dark in a wave of cosmic power that rippled through the universe. The traveler felt their bodies shudder as the forces coursed through them, but they did not falter. They had learned the lesson that the heart of the sky had shown them. True balance was not about defeating one force or the other, but about accepting both as part of the whole. The void seemed to soften, its churning mass now calming, its destructive energy dissipating into the stars. The light from the orb burned brighter than ever before, illuminating the darkness with its warmth and understanding, and in that moment, the traveler realized something profound. The void was not something to be feared or fought. It was a part of the cosmos, just as the light was. The two forces were not opposites, but complements, working together to create the endless cycle of existence. Without the darkness, the stars would have no meaning, and without the light, the darkness would be empty. The traveler stood still, feeling the balance settle within them. They were no longer just a wanderer in the stars, they were a part of the universe itself, a living embodiment of the harmony between light and dark. Ahead, the path stretched out before them, the stars shining brightly once more. The journey was far from over, but the traveler knew that they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. They had embraced the balance, and with that understanding, they could move forward, knowing that the universe would always be both light and dark, and that they, too, would carry both within them. With a final glance at the swirling void behind them, the traveler began their journey once more, walking forward into the unknown, guided by the light of the stars and the wisdom of the darkness. The cosmos around the traveler had become a strange kind of mirror, reflecting back their own journey, one of light and dark, of discovery and transformation. They had ventured far from the place they had once called home, traversing the stars and the shadows, learning the fragile art of balance. But with each step, they began to understand that the universe was not a destination, it was an ever-changing journey, one that would continue to shift and evolve no matter how far they traveled. Now, as the traveler stood at the edge of a vast and uncharted galaxy, the path ahead seemed to stretch on into eternity. The stars were brighter here, their light more concentrated, as though they were calling the traveler to something far greater than themselves. Yet, despite the beauty and wonder of it all, there was an underlying tension in the air, a quiet unease that gnawed at the edges of the traveler's mind. It was as if something was waiting, something ancient and powerful, a force that had been lurking just beneath the surface of reality, hidden from the traveler's sight. The celestial orb pulsed once again in the traveler's hand, its light steady and calm, as if attuned to the traveler's thoughts. The light of the orb had changed since the encounter with the void. It was no longer just a source of illumination, it had become a reflection of the traveler's very soul, a beacon of their inner understanding of the balance between light and dark. And yet, despite the orb's power, the traveler felt a new presence stirring in the depths of the galaxy. It was a force that seemed to call out to them, an ancient echo that resonated through the fabric of the universe. The stars themselves seemed to shift in response, as if they, too, were aware of the change. The traveler's breath caught in their throat. They knew this feeling. It was the sensation of destiny, of a path that had been set in motion long before they had ever set foot on this journey. A path that had now come full circle. The voice of the void whispered through the traveler's mind, soft but insistent, "You are nearing the heart of all things, traveler. The place where the stars were born, and where they will one day fade into nothingness. It is here that you will face the true nature of your journey, and you will learn that even the brightest light must eventually give way to the darkness." The words settled in the traveler's mind, filling them with a sense of unease. The light, they understood now, was not eternal. It would fade, as all things must. But the darkness, it would remain. The darkness was the cradle of all things, the place where stars were born and where they returned once their time had passed. It was the infinite cycle of creation and destruction, and it was this cycle that the traveler had been drawn into. Ahead, the galaxy stretched out before them. An endless sea of stars and nebulae, a swirling tapestry of light and shadow. And within this vastness, there was a single point, a singularity, a place where all paths converged. It was the heart of the galaxy, a place so powerful that it was said to hold the secrets of the universe itself. The traveler knew they had to go there. They had been led here, step by step, by forces both seen and unseen. The celestial orb hummed in their hand, its light flickering with anticipation. They were close, closer than they had ever been before. As the traveler advanced, the stars grew dimmer, their light seeming to pull away from them. It was as though the universe itself was drawing back, retreating into a space beyond reach. The traveler's steps slowed as they realized that this was no ordinary place. The heart of the galaxy was not just a physical location, it was a point of transformation, a place where the fabric of reality itself could be rewritten. The traveler felt a wave of vertigo as the space around them began to warp, the stars bending and shifting in strange, impossible ways. Time itself seemed to lose all meaning, stretching and contracting as if it were nothing more than a dream, and then, at the very center of the galaxy, the traveler saw it, a singularity of pure light and pure darkness, a swirling vortex of opposing forces, locked in a cosmic dance that transcended time and space. It was the place where all things began and all things would one day end. It was the source of all creation, and the final resting place of all that was. The traveler's heart raced. This was the end of their journey, or perhaps, the beginning of a new one. They stepped forward, their feet light as they crossed into the heart of the galaxy. The celestial orb flared with light, its brilliance radiating outward in a beam that pierced the heart of the singularity. The light and darkness within the vortex twisted and churned, merging in a dazzling display of cosmic power. For a moment, the traveler stood still, caught in the gravity of the singularity. It was as if they were weightless, floating in the center of the universe itself. The forces within the vortex were overwhelming, pulling at every part of their being. But even as the darkness tried to consume them, the light within the traveler's heart remained steady. They had learned that light and darkness were not opposites. They were two sides of the same coin, two forces that needed one another to exist, and so, the traveler embraced both. The celestial orb blazed with a brilliance that filled the entire galaxy, its light and energy flowing into the vortex, merging with the cosmic forces at play. The singularity exploded in a burst of energy, sending shockwaves through the galaxy. The stars blinked out, one by one. As the light and dark converged into a single point of balance, for a moment, there was nothing but silence, and then, slowly, the universe began to rebuild itself. The stars flickered back into existence, their light brighter than ever before. The balance had been restored, not through force, but through understanding. The traveler had embraced both the light and the dark, and in doing so, had become one with the universe itself. As the traveler looked out into the newly reborn galaxy, they knew that their journey was far from over. The stars would continue to shine, and the darkness would always be there, waiting for the moment when it was needed again. But now, the traveler was ready. They had learned the true meaning of balance, and with that knowledge, they could walk the path of the stars, knowing that light and darkness were both part of the same eternal dance. The journey would continue, as it always had, and as it always would. The universe, reborn and shimmering with new light, seemed to hold its breath as the traveler stood at the edge of the singularity's remnants. The cosmic forces, once chaotic and uncontrolled, had been woven back together, like a tapestry restored by the hands of time itself. There was a calmness in the air now, a peace that resonated through every corner of the galaxy, and the traveler could feel it, deep in their bones, that this moment, this fleeting balance, was something rare, something extraordinary. The celestial orb in their hand pulsed gently, its light soft but steady. It had changed again. Where before it had shone with an intense brilliance, now it radiated a quiet, almost contemplative glow. The traveler understood that this was no longer just a tool for navigating the cosmos. The orb had become a symbol of their own transformation, a reflection of their growth, their understanding of the delicate dance between light and dark. But the traveler knew, deep within, that their journey was not over. The galaxy, though now at peace, was vast, and the forces of light and darkness never truly stopped moving. They had merely entered a new phase, one that would require more from them than ever before. As they looked out at the stars, something within the universe seemed to stir once more. It was subtle at first, a shift so small it might have been missed by anyone else. But the traveler felt it, like a breeze brushing past them in the stillness of space. The stars flickered, their light wavering for a moment before steadying again. And in that instant, they knew. Another force was awakening. The traveler's heart quickened. They had sensed this before. There was always a deeper layer to the universe, a secret beneath the surface that only those truly attuned could perceive. The light and dark had balanced, but this force, this new presence, was something different. It was not just a force of nature. It was something beyond comprehension. And it was calling to them, as if in response to their thoughts. The voice of the void whispered once more in the traveler's mind, "You have touched the heart of the galaxy, traveler. You have seen the balance between light and dark, and you have felt the pulse of creation itself. But there is more. There is a truth deeper than the stars, a secret hidden in the folds of the universe that even the light and dark do not fully comprehend. You must follow the path, traveler. It will lead you to the place where all answers converge." The words echoed in the traveler's mind, and for the first time, they felt the weight of the journey ahead. It was no longer about navigating the stars, nor about finding peace between light and dark. There was something far more elusive awaiting them, something that even the universe itself had yet to fully understand. The traveler's grip on the celestial orb tightened. They were ready, even if they didn't fully understand what lay ahead. They had embraced the dance of light and dark, but now they had to seek out this new force, this mystery that was beckoning them, and so, they set off once more, moving through the galaxy with purpose. The stars guided them, their light flickering in patterns that seemed to speak to the traveler in ways words could not. It was as if the universe was alive, breathing, and the traveler was a part of it, a part of something greater than themselves. As they ventured deeper into the heart of the galaxy, the traveler encountered strange phenomena that defied explanation. Stars formed intricate patterns in the sky, like constellations that shifted and changed with each passing moment. Nebulae, once static and unmoving, now rippled with energy, as if they were alive, pulsating with the rhythm of the cosmos. But despite the beauty of the universe around them, the traveler could feel the presence of something watching, something ancient and powerful, waiting in the shadows of the stars. It was as if the galaxy itself was aware of the traveler's approach, and it was holding its breath in anticipation. The voice of the void whispered again. Its tone more urgent now. Do you feel it? The pulse of the universe is growing stronger. You are close, traveler. But the path you are on will not be easy. You must face what lies ahead with courage and understanding. The balance you have fought for is not enough. You must find the truth that lies beyond. The traveler felt the weight of those words, knowing that they were on the brink of something much greater than they had ever imagined. The stars ahead shone brighter, and the darkness behind them seemed to grow deeper, as if the universe itself were preparing for a final, decisive moment. And then, just as they thought they could no longer bear the weight of the journey, the stars parted. A rift in space itself opened before them, a passage unlike anything they had ever seen. The light and dark within the rift swirled together, creating a portal that pulsed with energy, its core vibrating with the same cosmic rhythm the traveler had felt deep within their own heart. The traveler stepped forward, drawn by an irresistible force, and crossed into the rift. For a moment, the world around them disappeared. The stars vanished, and the galaxies dissolved into nothingness. The traveler was suspended in a vast, empty space, surrounded by a stillness so deep it felt like time itself had stopped. And then, a voice spoke. It was not the voice of the void. It was something else, something older, more ancient, and more powerful than anything the traveler had ever encountered. The voice was soft, yet it filled the traveler's entire being, reverberating through every atom of their body. You have come, traveler, it said. You have sought the truth. But know this, what you seek is not what you expect. The answers you seek are not simple, and they will not be given easily. You must be prepared to face the unknown, to confront what lies beyond the stars. The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning, as the traveler stood in the heart of this strange, void-like space. They could feel the weight of the universe pressing down on them, as if the very fabric of existence itself was waiting for them to make a decision. The rift pulsated around them, its light and dark swirling together, blending in ways that defied all understanding. The traveler closed their eyes, feeling the heartbeat of the cosmos beneath their feet. They had come so far, faced so much, but now the true test awaited them. The light and dark, the forces that had guided them, were nothing compared to what they were about to encounter, and they were ready. The traveler stood in the void, suspended in a realm where neither light nor darkness held true dominion. There was no up, no down, no right or wrong. It was a space beyond comprehension, where the very laws of the universe seemed to bend and twist, like threads pulled in all directions by unseen hands. Every particle of their being hummed with energy, with the awareness that they were at the precipice of something unfathomably vast. The voice that had spoken before, ancient and powerful, reverberated through the very fabric of their existence. You have come, but you are not alone. The answers you seek have been waiting, hidden in the folds of the universe, just as you have always been. The words echoed, not in the traveler's ears, but within their mind, heart, and soul. They felt them like a pulse, like a call to something deep inside themselves. Something that had been buried for so long, waiting for this moment. The rift shimmered, its light flickering in waves that pulsed with an unseen rhythm. It was a living thing, this rift, a conduit between realms, a path leading into the very essence of existence. And yet, the traveler felt an unease ripple through them. The vastness of this place, the emptiness stretching before them, carried an undeniable weight. Step forward, the voice urged, its tone gentle yet commanding. But know this, what you will face is not of your choosing. The truth you seek will not be given. It must be earned, through understanding, sacrifice, and wisdom. The traveler's heart pounded, not out of fear, but from an overwhelming sense of anticipation. This was the moment they had been preparing for. The journey had brought them here, through galaxies of light and darkness, across realms of knowledge and mystery. Now, all that remained was to face the truth they had longed for. But what truth awaited them, and was it one they could truly comprehend? The rift before them widened, revealing a glimpse of what lay beyond. It was not another galaxy or star system. It was not even the boundless expanse of space. It was something else entirely, a place so vast and so unfathomable that it made the stars themselves seem like fleeting, insignificant sparks in the distance. The traveler stepped forward, drawn to the rift by an instinct they could not explain. Their feet, though they felt no ground beneath them, moved of their own accord, guided by an unseen force. As they crossed the threshold of the rift, a wave of sensation flooded over them, strange, foreign feelings, a deep resonance that seemed to connect them to the very core of the universe itself. The light and dark blended together in a cosmic swirl, creating shapes and forms that were both familiar and alien. They saw stars form and collapse in the blink of an eye, galaxies spinning in patterns too intricate to fully grasp. Time itself seemed to unravel in this place, every moment stretching into infinity, while others vanished in the blink of an eye. And then, at the center of this vast, swirling expanse, the traveler saw it. A figure stood before them, cloaked in robes of starlight, their face hidden beneath a veil of darkness. The figure's presence was immense, filling the void with a silent power that seemed to command the very fabric of space. The traveler felt their heartbeat quicken, not out of fear, but from the weight of recognition. This was not a being they had encountered before, nor one they could have ever imagined. Yet, something within them knew, this was the entity they had been drawn to. This was the force beyond light and dark, beyond time and space. This was the source of all things, the keeper of the cosmic balance. The figure spoke, their voice like the echo of distant stars. You have come to the heart of the universe, traveler. You seek answers. But the truth you seek is not the one you expect. The journey you have undertaken has led you here, to the nexus of creation and destruction. But what you find here will challenge everything you thought you knew. The traveler's breath caught in their throat. The voice was like the wind, soft yet carrying the weight of centuries. It was a voice that resonated with the very core of their being, and the traveler knew, without question, that this was the moment when everything would change. The figure continued, their words filling the space around them like a profound truth. All things in the universe are born from the same source, the same point of origin. Light and dark, life and death, creation and destruction, these are not opposing forces, but two sides of the same coin. They are the necessary components of the eternal cycle that drives all existence. But beyond these forces, beyond the duality of all things, there lies a deeper truth, a force that binds everything together. The traveler listened intently, feeling as if the very essence of the universe was unfolding before them. They had always believed that light and dark were opposites, that they were in constant conflict, striving for dominance. But now, the figure was speaking of something greater, a force that transcended these dualities. What is this force? The traveler asked, their voice barely a whisper. As if afraid to break the sacred silence of this place, the figure tilted their head, the veil of darkness shifting slightly, revealing a glimmer of something, an infinite well of stars, a glimpse into the very fabric of reality itself. It is the source, the figure replied. The energy from which all things emerge, and into which they will eventually return. It is beyond light and dark, beyond the visible universe. It is the primordial force of existence, the foundation of all that is and ever will be. You have touched upon it, traveler. You have felt its presence within you. The traveler's mind raced. The source, the energy of all existence, was more than they had ever imagined. It was not a force they could simply understand or contain. It was the very fabric of the universe, the pulse of creation itself. The journey you have taken, the figure continued, was never about the stars or the galaxies you explored. It was about you. It was about your awakening to the truth of the universe, the truth that lies beyond perception, beyond the boundaries of time and space. You are one with the source, as is all of creation. The traveler felt the enormity of those words, the weight of them settling deep within their soul. It was as if they were finally beginning to understand the nature of their existence. They had always believed they were separate, an individual on a path. But now they saw that they were not alone. They were a part of everything. The source flowed through them, just as it flowed through all things. The figure extended their hand, and the traveler felt a sudden, powerful surge of energy. It was as if the universe itself was reaching out to them, drawing them closer to the source. The traveler stepped forward, feeling the pull of the energy, the connection between them and the cosmos deepening. As they took the figure's hand, a flood of understanding washed over them, an understanding of their place in the grand design, of their role in the eternal cycle of creation and destruction. The traveler closed their eyes, allowing the knowledge to envelop them. They were no longer just a traveler on a journey. They were the journey itself, and in that moment, they understood, the source was not something they had to seek or find. It was within them all along. The traveler stood, hand in hand with the figure draped in starlight, feeling the pulse of the source reverberate through their very being. The universe, once so vast and unknowable, now felt intimately connected, an endless web of energy, each thread alive with possibility. The understanding that had flooded their mind was overwhelming, yet it was also liberating. The answers they had sought for so long were now clear, and yet, they were not answers at all. They were realizations. Truths not bound by time or space, but rooted deep in the essence of existence itself. You now understand, the figure said, their voice deep and resonant, like the rumble of distant thunder across the stars. You have seen the truth. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, just as it is you. All things, all beings, are part of the same eternal flow. You were born from the source, and one day, you will return to it. This is the cycle of life, the cycle of all creation. The traveler looked around them. The swirling, shimmering void had faded, replaced by a breathtaking panorama of the universe. The stars, the galaxies, the nebulae, all visible as though they were right before them. And yet, it was not just the universe they saw, but the very essence of it, the threads of light and shadow, life and death, weaving together into an intricate tapestry of existence. They could feel the weight of the source within them now, like an invisible force that anchored them to everything. It was not a power to be wielded, not something to be controlled. It was simply the truth of being, the cosmic breath that gave life to all things. The figure spoke again, their voice soft but filled with ancient wisdom. You have walked far, traveler. But this path has only just begun. The knowledge you have gained is but a seed, and it must grow, expand, and take root in your heart. The traveler nodded, understanding. They had come to a place of deep knowing, but it was not enough to simply grasp the truth intellectually. The true test was in living that truth, embodying it with every step, with every breath. The source was not a distant force to be revered. It was a part of them, as much as their heart, their mind, their soul. You must now make a choice, the figure said, their voice now tinged with a sense of finality. You have seen the balance of the universe. You have felt the pulse of the source within you. But there is a path ahead that you must take, and it is a path of great responsibility. Will you step forward, knowing that you carry the essence of the universe within you? Will you take up the mantle of understanding, of spreading the truth, even when it may be misunderstood, even when it may bring hardship? The traveler stood silent for a moment, the weight of the figure's words pressing down on them like the gravity of a star. It was true, the knowledge they now possessed was not a simple gift. It was a responsibility. A responsibility to share the truth, to help others see the interconnectedness of all things, and to bring harmony between the light and the dark, the creation and the destruction. But it was also a responsibility to understand the nature of existence, not to impose their will upon it, but to guide it gently, as the source did. Finally, the traveler spoke, their voice steady. I will walk the path. I will carry the knowledge of the source, not as a weapon, but as a guide. I will seek balance, not through force, but through understanding. I will teach others what I have learned, but I will also listen. For the universe speaks in many ways, and I have only begun to hear its voice. The figure nodded, their face hidden still beneath the veil of darkness, but their eyes, those infinite stars within their gaze, glimmered with approval. You have made the right choice, the figure said softly. But know this, traveler, your journey is not an easy one. The path ahead is fraught with challenges, and you will face resistance from those who do not understand, from those who are bound by fear and ignorance. But remember, even in the face of darkness, the light within you will guide you. With that, the figure raised their hand, and the swirling void around them began to shift. The stars and galaxies parted, revealing a pathway, a shimmering thread of light that stretched out before the traveler, leading toward the unknown. The traveler took a step forward, drawn toward the path. But before they could move further, they paused, turning back to the figure one last time. Will I ever see you again? The traveler asked, their voice tinged with both longing and curiosity. The figure's form began to fade, their presence slowly dissolving into the very fabric of the universe itself. But their voice, that deep, resonant echo, lingered in the air. You have already seen me, traveler. In every star you see, in every life you encounter, in every moment you experience. I am the source, and I am in all things. Remember, you are never alone, and with that, the figure vanished completely, leaving the traveler standing alone in the vast, shimmering expanse of the universe. The traveler took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the universe within them. The knowledge of the source was now part of them, part of their soul. And though the figure had vanished, their presence would remain, guiding them through the countless challenges that lay ahead. The path before them stretched onward. A shimmering thread of light that wound through the fabric of the cosmos. The traveler felt a deep sense of purpose stirring within them. The universe was vast, and the journey had just begun. As they walked, the stars above twinkled, the galaxies spun in their endless dance, and the very air seemed to hum with life. The traveler knew that this was their destiny, to walk the path of the source, to be both a part of the universe and its guide, to bring balance and harmony to all things. And as they stepped forward into the unknown, they knew one thing for certain: they were not alone. The source was with them, in every breath, in every step, and in every star that shone above. The traveler walked the path before them. A narrow thread of light suspended in the boundless cosmos. The universe around them felt alive, pulsing with energy and light, yet there was an overwhelming sense of stillness. It was as though the entire expanse was waiting, holding its breath, as if the fate of all things depended on the steps they took. Each step felt monumental, yet the path beneath their feet seemed to stretch endlessly, the stars twinkling overhead like distant companions, guiding them forward. The knowledge of the source was now part of them, woven into the very fabric of their being. The understanding of their place in the vastness of existence was no longer abstract. They felt it in their bones, in the pulse of their heart, in the rhythm of their breath. The source was not something distant. It was within them, around them, and they were a part of it, as much as the stars, the light, and the darkness. And yet, despite this profound understanding, the traveler could not shake the feeling that they were being watched. Not by eyes, but by something deeper, something that lingered in the corners of their mind, just beyond their comprehension. The path they had chosen was not easy, and every step forward carried the weight of untold consequences. As they moved forward, the traveler noticed the path began to shift, the light flickering and changing, bending in strange patterns. It was as if the very fabric of reality was warping in response to their presence. The stars that had once been distant companions now seemed closer, their light more intense, and yet there was something unsettling about their glow, something that felt out of place, as if they were no longer just guiding lights, but silent observers. Is this how it is? The traveler murmured to themselves, their voice barely audible in the vastness of the universe. Is this the path of the source? To walk alone, guided only by the knowledge that everything and nothing are one? No answer came, but the sense of unease grew, like a soft whisper carried by the wind, urging them to turn back. The traveler knew, deep within their heart, that there was no turning back. They had made their choice. And now they must walk the path, no matter how uncertain it seemed. The stars around them flickered once more, but this time, something was different. A shadow moved among them, a presence that was not of light, but of something darker, something ancient. It was a force the traveler could not comprehend, yet it filled them with a cold sense of foreboding. The air itself seemed to thicken, becoming dense and heavy, as though the very universe was holding its breath. The traveler stopped, feeling a sudden shift in the flow of energy around them. The light from the stars dimmed, their once brilliant glow now muted, as if the darkness was creeping in, threatening to consume everything. And then, from the depths of the void, a voice spoke. It was deep and ancient, its resonance vibrating through the very fabric of the cosmos. "Do you believe you are ready?" The voice asked, though it seemed to come from everywhere at once, as if the very stars themselves were speaking. "Do you believe you have the strength to carry the truth you have learned? Do you understand the cost of your path?" The traveler turned slowly, their heart racing, as they searched the darkness for the source of the voice. The figure from before, the one cloaked in starlight, had faded into the vastness, but now the traveler could feel the presence of something else. Something darker. The traveler hesitated, trying to steady their breath. "I have learned the truth of the source. I have seen the balance of the universe and I have chosen my path. I will carry the knowledge. I will walk the path of light and darkness, not as a conqueror, but as a guide." The voice laughed, a sound that echoed through the fabric of space, like the rumbling of distant thunder. "Do not mistake yourself, traveler," the voice said, its tone turning cold. "The path you have chosen is not one of balance. It is one of conflict, of choice, of eternal struggle. The source may be within you, but there are forces in the universe that will resist. Forces that do not wish to see the balance restored. The light cannot exist without the dark. But neither can the dark exist without the light." The traveler felt a chill run through their spine. The words of the voice resonated with a truth they had not yet fully understood. The source was not simply a harmonious force of light and dark, but a battlefield, a place where opposing forces collided, and where the very nature of existence was shaped by the struggle between them. "You are not the first to walk this path," the voice continued, its tone growing more insistent. "Many have tried, and many have failed. Those who have walked the path of the source have been consumed by it, lost in the struggle. Do you truly believe you can resist the forces that wish to tear the universe apart?" The travelers stood still, their mind racing, but their resolve remained unshaken. They had come too far to turn back now. They had learned the truth of the source, and they knew that it was not a force to be wielded or controlled, but a force to be understood. They had chosen their path, and they would see it through to the end, no matter the challenges that lay ahead. "I will not be consumed," the traveler said, their voice firm. "I will walk this path, not to conquer, but to understand. I will bring balance, not through force, but through harmony. I will face the darkness, not with fear, but with the knowledge that it is as much a part of the universe as the light." The darkness around them seemed to pulse with an eerie energy. But the voice did not respond immediately. Instead, the traveler felt a shift in the air, a sudden surge of energy that seemed to come from deep within the heart of the universe itself. The stars flickered once more, their glow growing brighter, as if acknowledging the traveler's words. The traveler stepped forward, their heart steady, their mind focused on the path ahead. They had made their choice, and the universe itself seemed to recognize it. The darkness, though still present, no longer held the same weight. It was as if the traveler had found a balance within themselves, a balance that allowed them to move forward, without fear, without hesitation. The path stretched ahead, now clearer than ever, and the traveler knew that the journey was far from over. The universe was vast, and there were many more challenges to come. But they also knew that the source was within them, and that no matter the darkness, they were not alone. The stars shimmered brightly above them as they walked, their light guiding the traveler forward. And with each step, they felt more connected to the universe than ever before, one with the source, one with all things, walking the path of light and darkness, knowing that it was not the destination that mattered, but the journey itself.